see that these issues are all connected. They are part of systems of oppression that feed off and are bolstered by one another. War, racism, cutbacks are connected to imperialism and colonialism at home and abroad against indigenous people to justify interventions that we are told are essential to save us from ourselves, to serve as excuses for saying there is no money for education, for healthcare, for housing or quality of life, all the things that governments should concern themselves with. Of course, we have no illusions of the Harper government or the Couillard government and their neoliberal policies and the violence, classism and racism with which they carry them out. When they say austerity, we say lies. We know what austerity means. It is about taking from the poor, the marginalized and the middle classes to feed the multinational corporations, the banks and the CEOs of these institutions, who are then rewarded most handsomely for pauperizing people, despoiling and polluting our lands and environments, and for bringing war, violence and destruction to our people at home and abroad. They are rewarded with huge dividends. They get bonuses for cutting costs to increase profit margins, and if they have to shut down, they are then rewarded with million-dollar golden handshakes. So we know that there is money, and to the austerity mantra we shout back, lies! Lies! Liars! As we move closer to 6th December and remember on the 30th anniversary of the École Polytechnique massacre and hear more about violence against women, as we did last night in Take Back the Night, and increasingly about consent, we are impatient. It's been too long. We see local and global forms of patriarchal violence against women. We see it for what it is. Constant attempts to impose inequality for profit and for power. Patriarchy and capitalism morph to maintain power and control. At the SOC, we, along with other organizations working with minority women and their families, have been challenging governments for attacking and further racializing our communities by falsely focusing on what they call honor crimes, forced marriage, and barbaric cultural practices. To them we say, violence against women is violence against women, and child abuse is child abuse, whatever the form, wherever it takes place, and no matter who the perpetrator is.
Exactly.
In Canada, our government's actions and inactions have heightened and increased violence against women by making war in our name overseas and in Canada. They have heightened and increased violence against women by refusing to recognize and act on the deep racism and misogyny that has resulted in hundreds of missing and murdered Indigenous sisters.